I have been in positions where I've had to take jobs or I've had to say yes to things because I've needed the money, even if I really didn't want to do it, or if it would burn me out, or I just couldn't handle it, but like, I can't say no. I never want to be in that position again.
Welcome to the 9 to 5 Quitters Club, the podcast uncovering the creator entrepreneurs at the forefront of a work revolution. Today, we're speaking with 3 powerhouse creator entrepreneurs, Gigi Robinson, Janel Abrahami, and Brandon Smithwrick. In this episode, we'll hear how these creators have built businesses that give them ultimate freedom and autonomy.
My goal is really clear. It's freedom. I want time freedom. I want location freedom. I want financial freedom. I want to be able to work whenever I want. I want to be able to not worry about any bills or expenses because I always know I have multiple streams of income. At the same time, I can work from wherever I want. As long as there's Wi-Fi, we're good.
They also share the strategic choices they make in how they show up online.
I think about that with every single piece of content I'm putting out. I just did one yesterday, how I was a TikTok campus ambassador in college, and I got to go to the TikTok HQ back in 2018. And so my goal in posting that is to show you what's possible.
And make sure to stick around till the end for some practical advice on building sustainable income streams.
So you have consulting, coaching, courses, content creation, or a paid community. Pick one, do it well, learn it for a year, collect feedback from the people that you are benefiting from that one income stream, that one C that you chose, then add another one.
This episode is packed with actionable insights on building a personal brand that creates true freedom, monetizing your expertise across multiple channels, and creating a sustainable business that aligns with your values and goals. Let's dive in, and we hope you enjoy this conversation with Gigi, Janel, and Brandon. I want to start today just by asking you to, as a means of introducing yourselves, talk about how you think about what it is you're building and already how it's changed your life.
I'm building a community of creatorpreneurs. So creators who have this like entrepreneur mindset, and they don't just see creating content as this transactional thing that they do on Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn. They see it as like I'm building a content business around like my expertise. How it's changed, I mean, geez, 2 years ago, I just started posting because I was like, why not, right? Like the job market was so volatile, and I wanted to build my personal brand and also be like intentional about it. From that, everything from job recruiters reaching out, CEOs reaching out, wanting me to consult, interviews with like news publications, and like doors just started opening just by me talking about what I see, what I like, what I know. So it's been amazing.
I think I'm building a business that has multiple different verticals that all serve different purposes, and content is the engine that feeds all of those verticals and keeps them working together. So a little bit more specifically, I started as a coach, and so I was at least just first selling my services and courses, and then content is a thing that brought people into my world, and now I've been able to diversify my streams of income into B2B consulting, into classes. Content now means getting paid through sponsorships, where before it was just organic to bring people into my world. And on top of that will be a book and stuff. But once you focus on one vertical, then you're able to expand in more ways that make sense.
Kind of similarly to both Brandon and Janel, I've mostly built my career as a content creator first, and now I'm working on building out a community so that I can be a coach and I can hold workshops and webinars, but on a personal level, like I'm working on writing a book and also doing public speaking. And I think a majority of the opportunities that have come my way have simply been because I've opened my mouth and asked for them, or I've been very, very persistent with the organizers or just in networking to meet people and constantly like push the boundary of what I am comfortable with. I think the first time I had to give a keynote in front of people, like my whole chest blew up so red. I was so nervous. But because I took that leap and I did that, it led me to getting booked for more and more. And all of the speaking stuff that I'm doing really serves as a platform for book distribution and also awareness for brands to work with me on specific verticals in the women's health space, in the creatorpreneur space as well. And also just to simply like make anything possible for people. I think when you see a creator doing something that you have never thought of, it makes it possible. Like it opens and it unlocks things for other people where they never saw that before. So that's kind of the vibe of my content and my journey so far.
Do you all think of what you're doing as personal brands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everything. I think from the way that I show up on podcasts, in person, on stage, in my LinkedIn posts, online, in all my photo posts, in my videos, like that person is the same person. Like when you hear me on a stage, I want you to also get that same sentiment from the LinkedIn posts I'm writing, from the videos I'm creating, from the long form book that I'm writing. So for me, like the branding is very, very essential.
Yeah, I would agree. I think across all the different verticals of my business, whether it's my career change course, it's consulting B2B, licensing that course, public speaking, whatever, the through line is me, Janel, and my core values, the pillars that I talk about day in and day out for 5 years now. It's the same person, and my expertise and what I know I'm just naturally great at is the through line and all of the different ways that I've been able to specifically monetize me in that brilliance.
I'd agree. Like, I think your content amplifies your personal brand, but it starts with your personal brand. I know that maybe that word's getting thrown out a ton now. Before, we were just calling ourselves creators and like that was it. But the reason why brands want to partner with certain creators is because of their brand. And whether you know it or not, we all have a brand, right? We all even say like, oh, that's so on brand for you, right? Whether we know it or not, whether you're timely, whether your expertise provides value, whether you just create like quirky content that's relatable, it adds to your brand. And whether you're like intentionally building your personal brand online or not, in subtle ways, you kind of are.
Yeah, it's about the brands that even you wear, the brands you talk about, the companies that you decide to work with in a completely like non-sponsored way. Like, how are you running your business? Are you using MailChimp or are you using Beehive? Like, what does that say about you as a creator? If I heard someone was using MailChimp, I'd probably think that they were older, like the generation above us, like old millennials and Gen Xers kind of. And then for newer people, I'd assume Substack or Beehive.
Yeah. The cool thing about a personal brand too is that like it gets to be so specifically, uniquely you, even if you are basically playing in the same spaces and delivering similar value to similar clients. We all deliver something very different. Because when a client, whether it's a B2C client who wants to take my course Pivot with Purpose, is it someone booked me for speaking or a brand, they now know because I've been sharing specific, deliberate parts of myself and my brand. They know my cat Charlotte. They know that I have anxiety, but I'm still going to get the cold brew. They know that I need accountability to walk on my walking pad every day, but I share those bits of myself too. And that's what makes my personal brand, in my opinion, valuable, because it's not just another, here are 5 words to never put on your, no. It's how me and my worlds and my expertise and my network all think about the future of work and these like tactical tips that you could get anywhere, but it's not going to be delivered with the insight and the background that we can deliver in each of our different ways.
Totally.
Terry Rice yesterday made me nervous for this conversation because he sat down and was like, personal branding is dead. But
Hot take.
he was
Hot take, yeah.
he was basically saying we're entering a world of character branding.
Okay.
Because personal
So
branding,
just a rebrand of personal branding.
basically, yeah.
Touche.
His argument was that like with AI or tools that
I
can
can see that.
basically create brands or personal brands, you can create this whole ethos around yourself, and more it's going to be about people's faults, not their strengths necessarily. Have you found yourself, even in the last year or so, as the tide is changing, altering how you show up in a space, thinking how you show up differently, or are you just committed to showing up how you are?
I wouldn't say it's altering. I think all creators start off with sharing what they know or sharing a gap, sharing something. And along that journey, you might just become more vulnerable. So maybe by way of doing that, you're sharing your weaknesses. I think we've all done it. I've shared like, I've been burnt out. There's been months where like, hey, I don't have anything to even talk about. I just feel like I'm just drained. I have a 9 to 5. I'm a creator. I run my own business. I have family. Like there's just so much going on. And maybe that's like building this character brand where people are like, oh, wow, he's human. He's balancing all this stuff. But I just think as a creator, your vulnerability just feeds into your content.
I think the good news for someone who is thinking about creating a personal brand, but it feels very like hairy, scary, is that the tide that we are seeing is that we want to be taken along for the highs and the lows and the good and the bad. And by sharing that vulnerability that Brandon was talking about is only going to make us more connected to who you are, thus your personal brand. For example, like I've gone the 9 to 5 and I've juggled the 9 to 5 and my side hustles, and now I'm full-time working for myself and consulting, but I have brought my community and folks who follow my personal brand through the entire thing. Well, just got laid off. Come on this job search with me.
Yeah.
Well, got it rejected. I guess it's time to give entrepreneurship another shot. But I've heard so many times, there's so many DMs and responses to newsletters and emails like, thank you for showing this. Now I trust you even more, and I think I will purchase this thing that you've built, like a course or a class. Or, hey, do you want to come talk to my community that I've created about this thing that you've been talking about? But it is that, let me show you the real, instead of, like I was saying, like any other video, polished corporate media that you could find anywhere else.
Yeah, I've been sharing my story with women's health and chronic illness since about 2017 on the internet. So for me, sharing vulnerable things and sharing those lows has actually been something I've been doing. And because I did that, I kind of then took a little bit of my own little spice, my flair, and that's where I opened my mouth back in 2022. I tagged the editor-in-chief of Sports Illustrated in a LinkedIn post to submit to their Sports Illustrated swim search, and I was advocating for women dealing with chronic health issues to have representation in SI Swim. And she actually had told me, the reason why you're here is because you tagged me in that LinkedIn post and nobody's ever done that, and it caught my eye. And so I've always been doing that. But again, I've been using social media kind of as just the vehicle to propel my mission. And even though it started as me talking about women's health, it's led to so much more, because talking about women's health and chronic illness is not just like, okay, you're sick and what do you do about it? It's like, what are the mindset shifts that you have to make in order to live life living with a chronic illness, first of all? Second of all, what kind of job flexibility do you have? So when I talk about the future of work, I'm not actually talking about, corporate future of work. I'm talking about entrepreneurship. I'm talking about the only reason why I've been able to get the care I've been able to get has been because I've worked for myself. Yeah. Had I been forced to go into a 9 to 5, I don't think I actually would have been able to even survive that with my chronic health issues the way I have. So for me, it's just, it all blends together when you kind of zoom out from, okay, Gigi talked about her chronic health issue. Let's pan out. What's happened now? Well, she runs a business. She helps other people run businesses. She advocates for people on global stages now about future of work, about women's health issues. And it all started with that vulnerability. And I'm not encouraging everybody to go out there and talk about their deepest, darkest pain, right? It could be something as simple as, I don't really like the short days in the winter and it makes me feel really not productive. Or maybe it's like, I just simply hate the cold and I hate going outside, but work is work. Like, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be so deep, but you can build on it. Everything's going to compound over time. And again, I've been doing this since part-time since 2015, but I went full-time in 2020. So I've been doing this for quite some time. And I feel like now in 2025, I'm finally starting to see the puzzle pieces all fitting together. Whereas before I was just focused on painting the one little puzzle piece at a time. And now they're just starting to go together. So this is also a reminder of if you are starting from that place of vulnerability, it's going to take some time.
I want to use that to kick off because I want to dig a little more. I think people who have been doing it for a while, you'll take for granted the very strategic choices that you make every day, even as you represent yourself authentically or as you're building your brand. So speaking to someone who isn't starting, but who's built a bit of an audience, but is trying to make these decisions do I share my deepest, darkest secrets? Where is the line of the vulnerability? Can you think of the choices you make to show up as you are, but also strategically? You all are making clear choices in how you post, how you show up. Do you think about that much anymore, or is it just kind of autopilot at this point?
What is the end goal? Because if you're just getting online and you're, during, I think, the past couple of years with these really volatile job markets, people are going in the internet crying about how they just like lost their job. Okay, but like, why are you posting about that? Are you posting about it to kind of normalize the situation? Or are you posting about it for attention? Are you posting about it because you think that's how you're going to get another job? I mean, like, what's the goal in that? And I think about that with every single piece of content I'm putting out, whether that's, I just did one yesterday, how I was a TikTok campus ambassador in college, and I got to go to the TikTok HQ back in 2018. And I literally was scrolling through my videos looking for this one thing, and I found it. And there's this video of me. I was literally blonde, had eyelash extensions. Like, I'm unrecognizable, to be honest with you. And I did like a little spin. And then yesterday, flash forward, now a arm of my company, Host of Influence, is a TikTok live creator network. And so I was there as the founder and CEO of my own company 7 years later, and you have this crazy before and after journey, but like 7 years, holy shit. That's like a long time, And so my goal in posting that is to show you what's possible. Like, the decision that I made to show up on TikTok in 2018, when I was the TikTok girl, I was so annoying on campus. Everyone was like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden, 2020 happened. Guess what? Everyone wanted to be my friend. And I was like, I don't really know what to tell you guys. Like, just start posting. Like, my advice is truly start posting, but have an end goal in mind.
I think there's two ways you can approach it. One, this is the way I did it. I had a 10-year vision. I had the goal in mind, and then I reverse engineered and worked backwards. I have also seen really successful personal brand businesses blossom when someone didn't have that vision, but instead just created the content that resonated with their audience, learned from audience feedback, created more of that content, then said, everyone's asking if I can have a free Slack group, or if I could just like make a little community or a Facebook group. Okay, I'll do that. And then one thing leads to another. But if they were to look back like, oh, I actually didn't have a plan for any of that, and it still works. So I do want to say, like, yes, you can be someone like me who has this like whiteboard, like a mad woman, like, this is where I'm going to be in 15 years. And like, maybe that's not going to happen. And it could happen very organically. But I do agree with like, but what is the purpose? Like, why are you creating this? Why is it important or exciting or even just like fun for you to create this, build it, put it out there and see the reaction? Is it because you love to be entertaining? You love the laugh. We all love a laugh, right? Or like you're chasing the high of your first laugh or like viral comedy post. Or is it because you were just so passionate about policy or making change in certain health spaces or in certain communities that like, this is a message that needs to be said and I need to be the one to say it? At least having that clarity on who am I and what is my role in this space. And then sometimes you can't plan for what actually happens, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And on the thing that you said, I've personally found that when I've seen friends kind of go the non-linear route to kind of just bounce around, that actually leads to burnout faster and they give up sooner.
That's fair.
So I'm not discouraging people from that because I think that's valuable too. At some point, we all have just kind of been like, I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah, it could be a great place to start.
It's a great place to start and build.
Layer on some strategic vision when you're like, okay, like this feels good. Yeah. Now I know how to set up my phone or whatnot, and then stages. Yeah.
I think one thing like we're touching upon here though that's so interesting is like we all actually do think about these things, but you can see the different approaches, right? Gigi is basically saying consistency compounds. As the more I'm consistent with something, it's going to compound that effect. I'm going to be able to even go back 8 years ago and show you how we're still doing it. You were a coach, and because you're a coach, your mindset is now, cool, how can I reverse engineer this? It's like frameworks is how you build things and how you even systemize it. I started in social media as like a social media manager. So I've always been like doing things for other brands. So when it came time to do it for my own content, I know how to write a caption. I know how to write a hook. So maybe that ramp up period for me was second nature by that point, but we all have muscle memory in some way. But at the same time, we're still doing things intentionally. There's some times when we're like, all right, cool, I need to build in public. All right, there's some times when you're making this post and there is a goal in mind. There's sometimes where, hey, I just want to offer value. So there's strategic decisions, I think, with every single post. And the way I think about it is there's some posts that will just be for like awareness, right? Here's awareness of what I'm building, what I'm doing. There's some posts that I just want to give my community this free guide. That's going to build trust. That's going to build credibility. So there's, I guess, like different ways to approach your content creation and your frameworks for like what pillars you even want to speak about. But I would just encourage someone to not look at the finished product and think that's where you need to be. it takes so much time to like have a conversation and then think about, that's a post. Yeah. Or like when you're talking with someone like, all right, they have this pain point. I'm pretty sure other people have this pain point. So let me make content about this. That content mindset takes a bit of training. So I would just say, start slow. I think we all say like, just post what you're comfortable with. Even if you don't want to start posting, start commenting, start researching, start learning, start saving. Just by doing that, you're gonna realize, I see this pattern on LinkedIn where everyone's doing like these line breaks. Why is that? Yeah. I'm seeing this pattern on TikTok where like everyone's putting the phone down as if they just had this idea, but I know they plan to film this. You're gonna start seeing like the science behind how people create content.
And I will say also, we've been very video heavy on this advice, but there are so many different ways to build your personal brand based on what comes naturally to you. If it's gonna be a Substack and that is your place to shine, fantastic. If it is going to be LinkedIn thought creation, there are whole agencies now being built from the ground up, specifically focusing on LinkedIn written posts, sometimes not even video. So video is just like, that's just a non-starter for me. It doesn't have to be a non-starter for your personal brand. There are other ways to do it.
And also right now I'm seeing a huge trend of like just basic storytelling. Everybody loves an underdog. So when I'm on LinkedIn, I'm always seeing the like, my success didn't happen overnight, or like, I'm actually posting this again, like kind of cringe video about how I started TikTok back in 2018. And like, I literally was an intern at Warner Bros. At the time, and I would finish my morning work and I was hired to do like TikTok research for them. And so I would do my morning work, go on my lunch break, film dance videos, like so cringe. Like I'm really not that good of a dancer, but like it was just like all the like early on TikTok dances, and I would do that and it was so cringe. But had I not failed in public that way, and had I not embarrassed myself and gotten comfortable with it, I would not have the career that I have now. And so I think part of it is like, what's your underdog story? And again, it doesn't have to be deep. It could be something as simple as like, I decided to embarrass myself in public, like which is true. Like it is a little embarrassing, but like at the end of the day, who cares? Like you're your own biggest critic. And so you have to get over that hurdle too.
So all of this is towards a goal.
Yeah.
What is the end goal for each of you?
I want to grow and scale my company, Hosts of Influence, and also Creator Etiquette. I'm not 100% sure if I want to grow and exit that company, but I do have a goal of growing and building a company to potentially exit and or get acquired. And then also, again, like public speaking for motivational purposes for people living with chronic health issues. And I think in today's world and our country, unfortunately, that's a little over 60% of our population living with at least one chronic health issue. And if you don't have one, someone you know probably does. And so this is a very applicable thing to everybody. And I'm using social media as kind of like the mechanism to get me there. Because also, as Janel and I have talked about before, in order to get a book deal, a lot of the times you now need social proof because they want a guarantee that you are good on stages and you're good on podcasts and you're good in the media and you know how to do all this media training so that when the book comes out, they actually hit the numbers. So for me, it's actually a really big advantage to continue growing and building and scaling all of my personal brand and my social media and consistently posting and working with new brands and doing media appearances. It's like, it's actually imperative. It's a non-negotiable for me.
Speaking of failing in public and sharing that story, I agree. I'll go here. So what I'm building is really just like around a mission to help people realize that their potential never expires. You haven't wasted your potential. It's still yours to grab, whether it's in your career and professional life or in your personal life. So the ways that I can help people remember that they still have their potential available to them and then fulfill that potential, there are so many different ways for me to do that. Right now, I'm currently doing it through a course, Pivot with Purpose, another course coming out about your personal brand, my eventual book that's being queried as we speak, public speaking, and who the hell knows, maybe it's going to be like the Janel and Gigi and Brandon talk show in a couple of years. And it's going to be our cast.
This is our pilot.
Right. But there are so many, like I tried the podcast thing and it didn't work, but I tried it, you know what I mean? But the different ways in which my mission can come to life are really endless. And I just got my first 2 rejections for my book proposal this week. Like,
which is great.
Yeah, it will happen, but like, yeah, I'm going to have a flop video. No one's going to sign up for my Substack at first. I will get rejected for my book proposal, but maybe by the time I rewatch wherever this ends up or revisit this conversation that we're having at this point in time and be like, oh, she's got her first 2 book rejections, and now like the 3 books are up on the shelf or something like that. Yeah.
For me, my goal was always just to show people who look like me there's another path. I never knew you could have a whole career by making content. And I think the unique thing with my story is that because I'm a content director for like a big tech company and I'm building an entire creator business, 1, I'm tired. But like 2, I can also speak to, all right, I know how to build your personal brand to make you really attractive for recruiters. Because part of my story is all the jobs I've worked for, I didn't apply for. They reached out to me via LinkedIn because of the personal brand I was building. So I also want to show people that I hate applying for jobs. It's exhausting. And I think the job application fatigue is so real. People will apply for like 200 jobs and never hear back. You want to kind of beat this system because it's not built for you to win and get people to reach out for you to jobs. And then if you want to be a creator and build your own creative business, I also want to show you how your personal brand can be monetized. So just everything I'm doing just to drive that goal. I recently just launched a newsletter just to kind of reinforce this more with my community.
You all talked about your mission, but like personally, what's the end goal? You want to exit because you want to have a ton of money? Like you want to, what's the life you want to be living, whatever that is in your 50s, 60s, 40s, whenever it is, like what is the personal gain you get out of this?
I mean, I think for me, it's like dogs. Like I love dogs. I love my dog. No, probably 2 or 3. I have one, and then I have my mom's dog also that I look after a lot of the time. So that's 2 puppies under 2. It's kind of like having, I mean, I've never been an actual mother yet, but, it's a lot of work. And so I don't think more than 2 dogs at once, but I really enjoy having them around and spending time with them. I actually love cooking. Like it would be a dream of mine to host a at-home cooking talk show. Like I would love to teach you how to meal prep. Like that is like one of my most favorite things to do. I love cooking. I don't like eating out actually because I prefer what I cook for myself. Part of that is because of my health issues. And so I eat a certain way and there's certain restaurants that I'm very picky about. All that to say, having the time to be able to cook at home or teach kids how to cook at home. And if I am able to, enterprise that or be more entrepreneurial on top of what I've already built, like great. I don't think I'll ever stop writing, speaking, doing any of that and helping others. But on a personal note, it's really that like freedom to do whatever you want whenever, to be able to buy my parents a house one day, hopefully, to be able to, who knows, retire my boyfriend or my future partner, my future husband. Like, I don't know what that will look like, but at least I would have to retire myself first, probably myself first. I'll focus on me first. But just like the freedom to like be able to do what you want and to have fun. Like, I think having fun and helping people and giving back is so important. Like, I always have loved volunteering and helping people. And that could be a variety of things, right? That could be going to a soup kitchen, or that could be mentoring kids who come from, communities who want to grow in the arts. And how, like, I started out at LaGuardia High School just uptown. Like, I had no idea I would become who I am today. And if I can help a high school student reframe their direction and where they want to go, that'll be worth it. So I feel like it's just about like the contribution to help others.
2 things really drive me in building my personal brand to its highest limits. The first is ultimate autonomy. I have been in positions where I've had to take jobs or I've had to say yes to things because I've needed the money, even if I really didn't want to do it, or if it would burn me out, or I just couldn't handle it. But like, I can't say no. You know, I never want to be in that position again. So building something that gives me the ultimate autonomy and say in how I spend my time, who I work with, how I earn my money, how much money I have the potential to earn, that is the number one thing that I'm after. And the second, I used to be afraid to admit this, but the second is like, I am in it for recognition on what I'm really, really great at. I've spent many, many years in the corporate world feeling like I always had something to prove because I was more like silly and entertaining and thought of things in a different, more like creative way that weren't the buttoned up way that everyone else on my team thought about that. And I always felt less than, or like, oh, I'm not cut out for this, or people don't take me seriously. But I know, if I may say so myself, I'm effing brilliant at these certain things that I am brilliant at, you know? And I tell my audience too, sometimes I open up my videos with, you're hot, you're brilliant, and you deserve to have autonomy over who sees that, who recognizes it. If people at your office don't appreciate it, there are countless people on LinkedIn or on the internet who will appreciate it. So honestly, like, I want to be recognized as someone who had really smart, strategic, creative ideas on the future of work and how people fulfill their potential.
My goal is really clear. It's freedom. I want time freedom. I want location freedom. I want financial freedom. I want to be able to work whenever I want. I want to be able to not worry about any bills or expenses because I always know I have multiple streams of income. At the same time, I can work from wherever I want. As long as there's Wi-Fi, we're good. And I kind of love that because when you build a personal brand, in a way, you're also future-proofing yourself. And because I'm in the corporate world, I've seen big tech companies lay off 20,000 employees, no notice, and people are just like, my safety net has been ripped from like right under me. And I never want to be in that position where I'm so tied to a corporate job that if that goes away, everything crumbles. So in a way, I want to have a corporate paycheck. I also have a wife and I want to give benefits, right? Because also, I think one thing that's not always said is when you're an entrepreneur, there is other expenses. There's a lot of other things. And I want to make sure that, you know, whether I'm doing something for my newsletter and I'm able to monetize that, I have a personal brand, I'm able to monetize that. I have content creation, that's being monetized. And I'm also on the advisory boards, that's being monetized. There's like so many different ways where I can make sure that I'm okay, my family's okay. At the same time, there was something you said that like sparked an idea that just left my head.
Recognition, visibility.
Oh, recognition, that's what it was. I also realized that I love teaching. I think being a knowledge creator or a career creator, you're basically sharing your expertise.
It's blowing up right now.
It's blowing up. But when you're sharing your expertise, you're always either being a student of the game, you're always learning, and you're always hungry because I need to share, so I need to always feed my knowledge. But at the same time, I have mentees. I realized like I want to be an adjunct professor one day. I've had book offers. I'm like, not yet, only because I want to make sure like the moment is right. But like once you kind of get that bug of like, I love teaching and helping people, I mean, the door is open for themselves.
And it also sounds like the freedom to turn the Wi-Fi off whenever you want that. And like, do not reach me is also important.
I love that. And also what Brandon's saying about like the right time, like I've been wanting to write a book since 2021 and I started in 2021 writing a proposal and it wasn't right. Like the time wasn't right after Sports Illustrated. And like, I just like wasn't right. It wasn't flowing. I had a call with a friend, I think in December before I had surgery. And she's like, Gigi, like, what are your goals for this year? And in November, I went to Tony Robbins' UPW and I set a goal there. I don't know if you guys know Tony Robbins, his work. Yeah. Huge motivational speaker, like probably the number one. So I went to this thing and I'm talking to my friends and we're like, you know, what are your goals? And I'm like, by this time next year, like we'll either have had a book deal or we'll be through the process of the book deal. And I started January like just being like, okay, like what are these ideas that I need to do? How do I get there? All of a sudden, I'm like, boom, I got it. I wrote 23 pages. My proposal's like out and done. And so now I'm about to enter into like querying as well. But the point is, I wasn't ready. And as soon as you are ready for whatever project it is, like I'm telling you, it will click and it'll flow. And when you're in that flow, everything else will also flow. Like I also had a huge content block for a long time because of a variety of different things. And I just needed like a reset for myself, but I couldn't figure out that angle. And until I sat down and was like, what is the goal? Like, what's the reset? What's the clarity? What's the audit on myself and my vision and my plan? Because that can also evolve and change over time. Once I sat down and did that, again, everything started falling into place. And so, yeah, that would just be another piece of advice, to just like trust that process, even though it's frustrating to hear that. Like, you really do have to just trust the process.
I want to get a little more tactile with that, because I think a lot of this space is the inspiration, the mindset just to get started, and like things will follow. But there's a point, I think, for a lot of people where you've been posting, you've built a certain amount of content, you have some followers, like there is an audience, and maybe you've even made a little money, a few $1,000s off of it. At that point, you have every single company like Teachable saying, we're the next thing you should do, or a book deal, or this. You're all saying you're not ready for a book deal, but even with all of those possible income streams, for someone who's in that position, what tactile advice do you give them of like, what is the next opportunity to pursue? How do you build smart individual income streams? Because you can get lost doing one thing or another.
I mean, what problem are you solving, right? Like, again, it's a question and answer, and who knows, maybe this just comes from like the frameworks that I've been taught and that I learned in like undergrad and my master's. But like, I've found that everybody in their work is solving for a problem. It doesn't matter if you're a nurse solving for whatever you're solving for, or you're an entrepreneur, or you're a tech founder, like you're solving for a problem. So what's the problem? And by the way, when I say this could literally be your niche, right? Like Janel is solving to help people career pivot and figure out their full potential. Brandon's solving to help people learn the importance of personal branding and or potentially being a director in corporate. I think those are very unique things that they're solving for. And so whether that's your target audience or whether there's a problem you're solving, there's going to be a set of questions. And, with tools like AI these days, you no longer have to Google, you no longer really have to do a survey. You can simply just use AI hopefully you're going to education-based and you're pulling things from actual, studies and whatnot, but you can genuinely go to the AI and ask what the top 50 questions for somebody with XYZ problem is, and then use that list to come up with unique content ideas and scripts and so much more. And so I think it really is not so hard to find the people you're trying to create content for.
Or how do you what income stream makes sense at that point?
It's whatever is the best fit for the person. I can't give you advice. I can't give you advice to go write a book if you hate writing. I can't give you advice to create a course if you can't sit and interview people, or you can't sit and stare directly at the camera. I can't give you that advice, because there are people who want to do a podcast, but they don't want to be on video, or that want to be a video creator, but they've only done short form and they have no idea how to make a YouTube channel. So I can't give you advice that's so uberly specific to an individual and their business model.
But here's a place to start. So as Brandon mentioned, I love a framework coming from my coaching background, and a framework that I have really kind of honed in on is like 5 C's of different income streams. So you have consulting, coaching, courses, content creation, or paid community, okay? Pick one, do it well, learn it for a year, collect feedback from the people that you are benefiting from that one income stream, that one C that you chose, then add another one. Learn that. Get really great at then juggling those 2 income streams together, because you're not getting rid of the first one. And juggling them in and of itself is a skill, because what you're now building is a portfolio career of multiple different projects, clients, income streams. And as someone who tried to do everything everywhere all at once and really quickly burnt out and was like, I'm getting a 9-to-5 again, I can't do this. That is a recipe for disaster. For longevity and sustainability, know that you can eventually fill out that entire portfolio with however many income streams make sense, but you need to start with one, you need to hone that, and then add one more layer. Figure out whether that's right for you, what feels good, what doesn't. Okay, I tried the course and like I actually missed the live interaction, so let's sunset that or make it available evergreen, but I'm actually now going to pursue active live experiences or opportunities because that's where I feel my most authentic self.
And also talk to other people. Like Janelle and I were having a very candid conversation about public speaking this morning. And I was like, it's hard to get paid for public speaking unless you're a corporate public speaker. And usually corporate public speakers are getting in the room because the companies that they're speaking for are buying 500 books for them to give a keynote, but who knows if they're actually getting paid. So there's a very robust world of public speaking, but like I've cracked the code in terms of media appearance public speaking, but I have not cracked the code in terms of public speaking as a true, 50, 60% of my income kind of stream. Like it's like probably 5 or 10% of my income right now, but genuinely like public speaking so hard to break into. But had we not had honest conversations about this industry, it would make me feel less alone, potentially discouraging me. And so I really encourage people to be honest and have conversations with other creators and or people doing what you want to do, because a lot of the time people will actually answer the questions. People love when you ask them questions. They love to talk about themselves and their journey. And I think that that's a really important thing to consider.
I think one thing Gigi said that I want to go back to is like people think the way of monetizing or scaling, I guess, your content is, all right, what's the roadmap? I do this, then this, then this, and this. And that's actually not how it works. And one thing Janelle says, like, all right, you can pick one of these things, but I think the essence of what we're saying is you may start with content creation. That might be your foundation, let's say. But Jonah, even within your question, you're like, you made a couple of dollars. For me, I'm like, oh, then you figured it out. Because I really believe this. And it's a quote that I didn't understand for a long time, but it's so much harder to make $100 online than $1,000 online. Because once you figure out how to make $100, I'm just gonna rinse and repeat. Yeah. Once I crack the code, all right, I know how people will actually give me a check for doing whatever I'm going to provide. I have a couple of options. I just do more of those or I raise the price. Yeah. And once you figure that out, it's all right, cool. I might wanna go deeper. The way people go deeper may be a podcast, but it might not be right for you. Mm-hmm. It could be a community. All right, but maybe that's a lot of time. Coaching, I actually love being one-on-one with people. So I think that's like the key there. I think one thing Teachable does really well that even I've learned is you must own your audience. Mm-hmm. I think without that, you're always going to be at the foot of the platform. So I think whether you want to start a newsletter, you want to start a paid community, you want to do events, that's the next step I think all creators should take. And you may not feel like I'm not ready for a newsletter. I'm not ready for a paid community. And I get that. You need to just start thinking about, all right, when Instagram is down, when TikTok is banned, when LinkedIn is suppressing your reach to where no one's seeing your posts, what's next? And you don't want your creator business to be cut off all because a platform changed their algorithm that day.
How many people did we see scrambling in January saying, follow me here, follow me here. I'm going to miss you guys so much.
Yeah. Last day, yeah.
If you had a newsletter, I'll see you tomorrow in my inbox.
Every single creator who was scrambling that I saw, like lifestyle creators, beauty creators, all of a sudden they're making newsletters and it's like, it doesn't actually make sense for them. And have they put out anything
Have we had a peep from themselves?
I don't think so. And it's like funny and like, I'm not like, yeah, it totally was. And I get it though. Like what you're saying is so important and I believe every single word. And I just don't know if a beauty creator writing a newsletter would hit. However, maybe they'd come out with an app where they're doing a private community where people are paying $15, $20 a month to see how they're doing new makeup videos for, you're going to a summer wedding. This is the makeup video to do. You want a new nude lip. Like I have actually seen that happen. But I don't think the newsletter version of that for that specific niche works. So yeah.
I would say, I do think a lot of B2C creators see this B2B playbook and think I can't do that and vice versa. But I actually would challenge that. I think if you were a beauty creator, you could have a newsletter. Here are the products I've tried this month. Here is what I've learned from testing this. You can also just sell ad space. It's missing your same formula of all your videos. And I do think And I think when you mentioned what Terry said, I was thinking about this so much, like, yes, AI has cluttered the space. I would encourage people to use AI ethically by just saying, hey, here is my TikTok script. Can you help me turn this into a newsletter? And from that, you can actually build upon like your B2C business and make it maybe a bit more expertise driven.
Yeah, something I also do with AI that's been like a game changer, and you were talking about this in terms of keeping up and knowledge learning, is that like yesterday I was at the TikTok office for this TikTok live creator network presentation thing. And I was just like, I had a long day. I did not want to like write notes. So I just click record. It records the whole thing, transcripts it. Then I tell it, please make this into a document with key points that summarizes what I'm doing. And then I'm like, now that you've done this, can you come up with a LinkedIn kind of framework for this, or a newsletter framework where I can expand on this to really share with people, and or a video script that is in my voice. And I've actually trained AI bots to be in my voice to the point where like I'm going in and I'm telling the AI bot, like, this is my version of what I would do. Can you help me refine it? And it actually has helped me push out so much content in the past 3 months. Like my bandwidth is now, I would say my time is cut maybe like I've cut 3/4 of the time. Like 75% of my time is back to me now, which allows me to create more and in volume.
This podcast is brought to you by Teachable, the platform that empowers you to share your knowledge, engage deeply with your audience, and earn all on your own terms. Because you are more than your 9 to 5, and Teachable has everything you need to grow the business or side hustle you think about while you're at your day job. You can get started turning your knowledge into a business for free at teachable.com. That's teachable.com, which is also linked in the show notes or description wherever you're watching or listening. Okay, now back to the episode. I came to this space mainly through YouTubers, and more like the Cleo Abrams, Colin and Samir's, who deeply struggle to gate their content, or like don't want to. They're fine with the YouTube model and brand partnerships. Like that is the full thing. Even people like, not to call out Cleo, I love you, but like she said before, does not want to charge for content. Colin and Samir were super scared about launching a course. I know, I forget the channel, but the Try Guys the guys who went off got roasted on their YouTube channel for gating content. For those people, so you may have smaller audiences, but you're much better at owning your audience. What is your advice to people who have built huge audiences but are terrified at the concept of charging people for that content?
I have 2 perspectives. The first is don't fix what ain't broken, which is like, if they don't want to do that and what they're doing is working, and there's, I know Colin Samir, right? Like they have their show that they put on YouTube, but they also have it in podcast format, I believe. And then they have the newsletter format. So like they have enough at this point. Like I know, unfortunately, I was following their journey with like the LA fires, and I think both of them lost their houses, or one of them lost their house. And like it seems like they're doing all right now. Like it seems like they're back working. And part of that is because what they've built allows them, like it propels their income stream, and like they don't need other income streams to tack on. Like maybe they could.
Well, they're a good example because they've ended up figuring out, and they've talked about this, like, it's not actually a cheap course.
Right.
They did like an expensive cohort that was very specific.
Right.
So in that way too, like, because they may not come from an education first background where you all do, is there an easy way to get over that idea of gating content, or do you think it depends on your audience as well? Like, how do you do it elegantly?
I see value in both. I think one thing Colin Samir did really well is they went for reach. They're not going to gate anything because they have massive reach. And because of that massive reach they've accumulated, they have done brand sponsorships and partnerships that have really propelled their career. At the same time, I do think a lot of times we give a lot of value and knowledge and tips for free. People don't revisit it or honestly respect it unless they pay for it. And that's a common thing. When you get something for free, you're less likely to kind of cherish that. But if you spend money on this course, it actually shows intent. How Or like how, I'm trying to find the words now, how dedicated are you to actually doing said task? So if their course, I don't even know what their course was about, but if it's like growing your YouTube, right? Only people who are really serious about growing their YouTube are going to commit. I think that kind of shows, that kind of shows, all right, cool, we now know who this real community is, and we can now pull case studies from this and show. I think it's just like the long-term vision.
I will also say that it's important for someone thinking about converting massive reach into income through a gated version of their expertise or their information. Conversion rates are very low. Do not or they don't have to be, but they typically are, especially if you're just learning this new model. Do not expect 100,000 followers or subscribers to equal $100,000. Conversion is going to be very different. And the thing is, the type of content that you create depends on your business model. So if your business model is, or was like mine when I was first starting out, which was just as a coach and using content as a vehicle as for lead generation to then convert into paying clients, the type of content that I create for conversion into paid clients is very different type of content than I now create the majority of, with the goal of expanding my audience, engagement, community building, awareness, reach. That is not the same content that's going to turn someone following me into a paid customer. Now I know how to do the dance between both of them, and both of that type of content has space on my platforms. But if you have only ever created content to expand your reach, grow your following, grow your community, it's a different skill to learn how to create content that turns someone into a paying customer.
Yeah. And the other point that I was making again, first, don't fix what ain't broken. So like for them, if that works and they don't want to change, like obviously there's no amount of telling somebody what they should do that's going to make them do it besides themselves making the conscious decision to do it. Like if I've learned anything, even if I buy a course, I am the one that has to then do the course. So nobody's saying, Gigi, you have to do the course. And that's the other thing with coaching where it's like, oh, it can be scary to become a coach. At least for me, like I've had some blocks of like, I'm scared because I don't know how people are going to perceive me. And it's like, well, I show up as the coach and I give my advice. It's now up to the client to then go the extra mile and implement it. And so when people kind of are scared of that, like I understand it, but that's just the fear of failure and the fear of rejection of like not being actually seen. So that's the first thing. The second thing, however, is I think they may be at this point now where they don't want to do this, and down the line, I could see Colin and Samir doing their own mini VidCon kind of thing. Like they already do pop-ups at these big industry events already. And I think that eventually they will potentially do ticketed events that are specifically for the members of their community. And maybe then they do launch a tiered thing where there's a VIP thing, or once they launch their private community of supporters, they're then able to expand. And so if that's not what they're doing now, that's not to say that they won't do that in 2 to 10 years. I mean, they could do that. They could evolve. Like, think of Gary Vee, right? He once started on social media. I don't think he was ever thinking about public speaking or doing media appearances. Now he has VaynerX or his whole media company, Universe. Vayner Universe, like Vayner Speakers, VCon. I mean, he's got the NFT stuff. He's got all of it. But who knows if he started on social media being like, you know what, I one day want to open a speaking agency and have the best speakers for my conferences.
But here's the thing. I think we just tapped into something that I've been thinking about a lot as a Swiftie and like fully in the Taylor Swift universe.
I'm there with you.
She has created a universe, a world that I want to live in. But what is at the core of that universe? Her
Taylor.
And her lyricism, her writing. Yeah. But what that means for a personal brand, it could be my podcast, my book, a course, seeing me at an event, me hosting my own event, a talk show. Clearly I'm on this talk show vision boarding mission. But like if you create your universe, coming back to what we started this conversation on, that is what sets you apart from everyone else talking about the same thing, even if we're on a similar couch talking about similar things. These are 3 different universes that you can pop into simultaneously, right? You can be a fan or a supporter or a subscriber, a customer of all 3 of us, but you're getting such a different experience in each of our universes. And part of that is going much deeper than what you would find in like no shade, a LinkedIn learning course. But like, come along with me because now Charlotte, my cat, who obviously I should have just brought today, but like my 12-pound cat, Charlotte, like that is a main character.
Heavy cat.
She is 12 pounds of fluff. She's actually very light. It's all fluff. No body shaming here on this panel. But like, you know Charlotte, you know my coffee addiction, you know I am a former perfectionist, overachiever, overthinker, overwhelmed, only child who has blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? That's the universe that we live in, and the way that I help you, the modalities that I use to help you, and the way that I help you in that identity are varied, but they're all in one universe.
Yeah. I've said this before too in interviews of like, you are the sun as the creator. You're like that bright light, like all of the ideas, and then the planets in your solar system are just all of your different business ventures.
We unfortunately have to wrap up.
That sucks.
I do. I like doing this because we talk a lot about burnout and the things that can happen, but also like all of you have gone through it and come out the other side. And just even briefly, like, what is consistently the favorite, like your favorite part of your day? The thing you do every day that you're just like, holy shit, this is a great job.
So lately I started taking daily baths. I'm actually not kidding. Like I put candles on in my bathroom. I make a bubble bath and I just like am there with my thoughts. And it's like a really great way for me to end my day because one, I'm looking forward to it. Two, I feel great to just like decompress. And I've been very, very intentional about putting my phone in the other room. Like I no longer bring my phone right next to my bedside. And part of that is because I'm on my phone from like 8 a.m. to probably 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night. So by the time I get in my bathtub, I'm like off my phone, I'm with my thoughts, I'll read a book, I'll touch grass. And it's just really been very grounding for me because I'm constantly like in this world, like on my phone all the time and or on my screen and or in person at events. And to just like recharge, for me, it's been so helpful. So who knows, maybe I'll start like a bath time content series. No, I'm like bath bomb one. I'm actually like half kidding about that. I'll become a bathfluencer. No, very, very much kidding. But it's been really great. And what it is the ability to shut off at the end of today. The freedom to just say, you know what, I don't need to continue working. I can edit this stupid video tomorrow.
For me, one of the favorite things right now is seeing this newsletter subscriber list grow. I think we all have a social media following, and if we gain a couple hundred, 1,000 followers, sometimes we don't even notice, right? We don't remember our numbers, but when you start something from zero and you're rebuilding something new, it's like this totally different experience. And I think just seeing this newsletter grow, Content Accomplice, it's just been amazing for me, only because I'm seeing people who are hungry for knowledge, they're bought in, my community's growing, and it's email something a little bit personal, but like they're so hungry for this knowledge, they want this weekly newsletter, and it's really only 3 weeks old. I already have 5 sponsors. Like it's just been incredible growth.
Amazing title for your newsletter, by the way. Content to commas, please. That is so elegant, perfect, love it. My favorite part of the day, as in this career now, is ideating. It's the brainstorming. It's the thinking like, okay, what new series could I put together? Or how could I bring this message to life in a cool, creative way? Giving myself the permission to not just be like a talking head now that I have done that for a couple of years, right? It's like I'm not shaming that or bashing anyone who is more comfortable starting out being a talking head or a green screen. But now that I've developed the confidence and flexed that muscle, how can I challenge myself to be a little bit more creative? What's my next big idea? How do I bring that to life? Is that something that cross-pollinates between short form versus a newsletter versus LinkedIn versus getting creative on this white space of a space that we are in is so exciting. And just like sitting down with a blank piece of paper or my notes app and thinking like, oh, that could be cool. Or like a collaboration with Brandon would be amazing. And like, let's bring Gigi in. Like, let's just sit on a couch and vibe. Like, what could that turn into? It's like a high. Yeah, I love it.
Literally, this career is endless. Like there are endless opportunities and endless niches. And even though personal branding is what we're all talking about, like we've all built thriving businesses off of that. Like how cool is that we could just come together as like knowledge creators and just like innovate and do our own thing. It's so cool.
And we can all keep talking, but we have to leave this room. But thank you all so much for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Gigi, Janel, and Brandon are great examples of how creator entrepreneurs can build businesses that provide both financial freedom and personal fulfillment. By strategically sharing their expertise, being vulnerable with their audiences, and diversifying their income streams, they've created lives where they control their time, location, and financial futures, all while making a meaningful impact in their respective niches. I hope you learned as much as I did today, found something you can apply to your own life, and if nothing else, we're inspired by these creators' stories to take a hard look at your 9-to-5 and make sure the way you work is working for you. If you want to join the thousands of other creative entrepreneurs who are building an income out of their impact, click the link in the description to join the club and learn how Teachable can help you do the same. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out the recommended next episode linked here. Thanks for being here, and we'll catch you in the next one.